welcome to another episode of the Dada Show, coming to you straight from the Bay Beach Hotel. We are here in Mombasa to get the opinions of women in this region in the spirit of equality and inclusion. My name is Ashiko Mbone, and as always, it's a pleasure being your host. As I mentioned, we will focus on issues that affect all women from all walks of life and their impact and implication in light of the general elections of 2022 in August. As usual, we always want you to participate in our conversation, so keep us looped in on all our social media platforms at the Dada's KBC. We encourage you to take back, give us feedback, give us your comments, ask us questions. We're always looking forward to hearing from you. So today we will be touching on something that is very sensitive in the area. And according to an analysis that was done by NACADA in various regions in the country, the coastal region is headed in drug and substance dependence. The use of marijuana, khat, tobacco, alcohol is on the rise. And the question today begs, what are the drivers that are causing this? Especially in the light of the general elections, it's been said that certain individuals are using and intimidating the vulnerable majorities by offering them drugs and substances. So before we jump into this topic, we shall watch a small feature coming up.
Mombasa is the second largest city in Kenya and one with the highest number of drug addiction cases. As a result of the rise of drug and substance abuse at the coast region, the government has initiated the establishment of rehabilitation centers as well as working closely with the existing ones to help in control of the rising problem.
The center stage of the interest in the discussion should be how to save the lives of the suffering young people from this vice, not giving notices to some unknown people who you purport are holding political position.
The Reach Out Center Trust was started in the year 2003. The center offers prevention and treatment services for people using drugs, among other services offered. Mr. Taib Abdurrahman is the director at the center, and he outlined the mandate of the institution.
My name is Taib Abdurrahman, director of Reach Out Center. Our work is in the prevention and treatment services for people who use drugs, key population, vulnerable population, to be able to give a second chance to those who are infected by drug use, drug abuse, and also the vulnerability of HIV and other related sicknesses.
Over time, since inception, the center has been able to reach out to approximately 10,000 people in the community and beyond, and continues to do so while restoring hope. Uniting the addicts back to their families is crucial to their healing process, and at the center, this is one of the things incorporated in their program. Despite the high cost of running a rehab center, Reach Out Center has subsidized their charges to make it affordable to everyone. COVID-19, among other challenges, was a setback for the Reach Out Center as it hindered the provision of some services crucial to the treatment of patients at the time.
Corona was almost affecting my treatment because there was lockdown here in Island, but through the efforts of this facility, the doctors used to use rapid response to deliver ART to the clients that are registered here. And those who are not registered here, they used to go collect for them, may it be BOM, AHF, wherever. Actually, and you can see, Corona changed the situation. Now, when they come for lunch, there's this we call social distance. So they get packed lunch to avoid that that closeness, because everyone wants to get that food.
Although the politicians have a responsibility to address the drug addiction issue at the coast region, there seems to be lack of goodwill. Although the abuse of drugs pose a danger to many young lives at the coastal region, there still is hope, as Taib explains the many milestones and success stories documented during the past 20 years of existence of the center. Many young people start abusing drugs as a result of the challenges they face growing up. Musa Ali was exposed to substance and drug abuse by friends who are already indulging.
Majina, mimi naitwa Musa Ali. Mimi ni mraibu ambaye anapata nafuu. Nimetumia uraibu kwa muda mrefu, zaidi ya miaka 10. So niliingilia uraibu nikiwa nimekuwa frustrated, nilikuwa na a lot of frustration, sikuwa na uwezo wa kufanya uamuzi wangu wa kisawasawa. Ningesema kitu ilinisababisha kuingia ni kushindwa kucontrol nafsi yangu, that self control.
Doing drugs is an experience that Musa regrets most in his life. His advice is for anyone thinking of trying out drugs to avoid it by all means.
Haikuwa tu nimeanza tu straight kwa heroin, but nilianza nikitumia hii, naona hii haishiki, naenda kwa nyingine, natumia hii, naona hii haishiki, hadi nikafikia heroin.
Deborah Ebole is a mother of 5 and a recovering addict. She experienced rejection from her family from early childhood, leading to her involvement in drug abuse.
My grandpa who took care of me died the year 2017. So I could not take care of myself. Then I came to Mombasa to look for my mom. My mom was now already married, and she never wanted anybody to know that I was a daughter, though we looked alike. She told me I should admit that I'm the sister. So it tormented me mentally. It made me feel that actually, how can my mom tell me to say that I'm a sister to her? And also, she didn't take me to her place. She took me to a friend, and that's where I started addiction, because the place she took me is the place where drugs were sold. Though she was not aware, she worked in the High Court. She was a court clerk, but she passed away.
Learning of her HIV status was a wake-up call for Deborah. She knew that she had to change her ways for the better. Reach Out Center, despite the challenges they grappled with, they still came through for many recovering addicts. Running a rehabilitation center needs partners. The county government has been steadfast in responding to the needs of Reach Out Center, as well as other stakeholders who have also been very supportive.
Kwengine kumeoza, kumeharibika. Nikasema mihadhara yake haifai kutumika, ile cocaine zile kutumia, madawa ya kulevya. Basi mimi nikawa ni mbaya. Uadui mwingi umenifuata. Usijuti kwa sababu ilikuwa majukumu mmenipa, lazima niseme.
Welcome back. Joining me today to discuss this issue is individuals who are working hard to make the narrative, to change the narrative, and to change the reputation of the coastal region so that people can be able to fulfill their full potential. Joining me is Farida Rashid from Nakada. Next to her is Mr. Musa Ali, who is a victim, a survivor, and an activist. And next to him is Mariam Zahur from the Uzalendo Initiative. And finally, we have Taib Abdul Rahman, there, who is from the Reach Out Center. I also cannot fail to acknowledge my wonderful audience for taking time on this beautiful sunny day to sit with us and discuss these very contentious issues. Karibuni sana. To get the ball rolling, I'll start off with Farida from Nakada. From your vast experience, being an organization that deals with multiple cases, not only in the coastal region, but across the country, what is the status of alcohol and drug abuse and dependence in the coastal region?
With us as Nakada, we are only treat and rehabilitate and awareness and to prevent. You understand? So when we come down to the coast, tunajua sasa kitu gani kinafanyika, kwa sababu the data we are having, tunaona cost is leading for all these things. Na kitu kinafanyika, we cannot say unless from the grassroots, people from the grassroots and the family, they should talk about it. Lakini they're on denial. They don't come out. Most of them are using marijuana, all this, all the hard drugs and how. Lakini sasa sisi, we cannot go to the ground. We just get the information from the organization and all these things. We train, we treat, we rehabilitate, which we have at a rehabilitation center in Miritini. So in that case, unless they come out, and what they come out and talk about it so that we know and we can approach them and should know what we are doing for them.
Okay. So I'll pose the same question to you, Mr. Taib. What do you think are the main drivers to drug and substance abuse in the coastal region?
Thank you very much. You have put it rightfully. There is an increase and the menace is rampant. And it is because of these issues that we have come boldly and openly to be able to provide services first. Because without services, you cannot get or bring closer people to where they need to get the treatment. So an estimate of 100,000 people within the coastal region is a big number. That is, you name it, from Kiunga, Lamu to Tanzania, Lunga, Tanzania, Kenya. So this has shown a very big impact in terms of the usage. So without having treatment center, Madam has mentioned it very eloquently that government has taken a big step, and we really appreciate through NACADA. There is a full-fledged program that is supporting people who use drugs at the coastal region, which is a model, is a standard that it will be emulated most in the African setting, having a triplet working relationship. This is the county government, national government, and civil society. It's a first of its kind in Africa to have this inclusion and to have the support from government to show that this zeal and passion for the community, and especially I coming from Mombasa, seeing this menace on day-to-day activity, I think this is a breakthrough. It's bridging the gap towards helping people. And of course, the menace has its own dimensions, and we have peer pressure, we have availability, we have ignorance, we have lack of opportunity and knowledge to know these drugs, we have disjointed families, we have culture within our traditions that are helping us. People will smoke and say, it's okay if you're smoking, but don't use heroin. It's okay, you can chew, but don't use heroin. So these are the cultures that you're talking into. So adding them all together, peer pressure, ignorance, and lack of information and knowledge, and that's the ability to know what does it taste like, how does it taste, how do you fit in into those groups. So this is the major challenges that we are normally facing into, to make sure that how can we be able to bridge the gaps that young people are suffering, the menace that we are looking into, it has different angles. So if we can be able to know and point out these entry points, we'll be able to understand and bring them closer to service.
So speaking of the drivers to what is causing the rise in the usage, of course, and I do appreciate the fact that you pointed out a couple of them. Peer pressure, you're talking about lack of information, the culture within the tradition where it's okay to have a cigarette. Thank you, that is actually shining some light. So if we move on to Musa. Musa, you are, you're recovering. You're a recovering addict, yeah? And I have to commend you for the courage, first of all, to be here and for starting this journey. I'm sure there are so many people who are looking at you in awe and thinking, how did it get here? If it's okay with you, would you mind, sharing with us your story?
Let's say Musa Ali, I was once an addict. It doesn't happen to just overnight. It really happened like, there's some things that happen to us when we are in a early childhood. So zinakuwa ziko na sisi. So at that time, kuna mahali nilikuwa nafikiria like people they against me, people they don't like me, like going to boarding school at a younger age. Hiyo ilinifanya mimi nikajifeel like, so how to kill that ilikuwa ni like naona take drugs ilikuwa that's an option. Because kuna time unakuwa life in this journey of life, kuna some stones ambazo, kuna those flowers and stones which ambazo zina to drag nyuma. So ilikuwa like mimi nilikuwa na feel like my self esteem ilikuwa iko chini. So hiyo self esteem kwa chini, sikuwa na kuweza ku make good decisions at that time. So that's how nearly get into drugs.
So I have to commend you because what was your breakthrough? Ilifika wapi your breakthrough ukaamua ukasema unajua nini? Enough is enough, imeshanitosha. I want to live a different life. For someone who is watching you right now at home and is watching the show and they feel ni kama ambao amefika mwisho. What was your breakthrough? Ungemwambia nini saizi?
Okay, kuna turning points in life. Baada ya kufanya yale yote nilikuwa nimefanya, kuna some turning points. Ya kwanza ilikuwa is my son, ambayo nilikuwa naona hiyo kitu itakuja kumaffect in future. Alafu the next ni my young brother, ambaye alikuja akaniambia, "Awe Musa, kwani ume lose hope in life, wewe ni aje? Wewe ulikuwa hivi, sisi tulikuwa tunakuona mtu poa tukiwa wadogo, sisi tunakuona kama role model in our family. So inakuwaje wewe, kwani have you lost hope?" That's another one. Nyingine ni ile through friends. Friends, kuna just a family friend alikuwa amekuja home, ambaye ni mtu mnamuona hata kwa TV, Lulu Hassan. She just came, she slept over. You can imagine just taking her phone. Walikuwa wame set up phone, anataka wakilala wakiamka alarm. Asubuhi wakiamka wamechelewa mahali walikuwa wanaenda. So akija akikuta hivi phone yake imeenda. Nani amechukua? Musa. So those are the turning points ya kuwa nimeona katika jamii, nimekuwa nafanya vitu ambavyo sivyo. So I wanted to do something about it. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. That is honestly some truly inspiring, stuff. Now, Mariam, you are involved in an organization that you're an activist actually against drug and substance abuse. What are some of the initiatives that your organization has put in place to, just like Nakada, just like, outreach, to be able to assist and rehabilitate addicts so that they can be able to rejoin society?
Chenye ambacho naweza nikasema ni first, it's taking self initiative. The moment uki-identify yule mwanamke pale ameanza kujihusisha na mambo ya drugs, you can either sit down, consult with him, alafu baadaye unafanya assessment like nani alimmotivate, because you cannot intervene directly unless you know the root causes. Ufuatilie, ufanye assessment. Maybe it's the family, ama uangalie maybe ni yeye mwenyewe ni shida ndo zimemsukuma kwenda kujiingiza katika drugs. So first tunafanya assessment, tunaangalia, and then later on we use our networks kuangalia like how can you help him. Na pia pale akikueleza zile shida zake, wewe mwenyewe binafsi unaangalia like how can I help him? Do I have links? Do I have people who can be able to support me? And then wewe mwenyewe katika ile initiative yako unafuatilia step by step, unamfuata progress, because what other people do is they take wanampa aid without even doing like a follow up, monitoring, assessment, kumwangalia like is he picking up ama ameregea nyuma. It's a lot, needs a lot of work, and people feel like they are overwhelmed, but the process ukimfuatilia mtu and ukiona like at least ame move one step, you feel yani unasikia afadhali and you feel appreciated. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mariam. Now, over to you, Madam. What are some of the challenges? You see, the cause that you take on it's a challenging one just to begin, because you will have fights from all angles, because you may be messing up somebody's source of a livelihood. Sasa, what are some of the issues, changamoto Nakada experiences as you're trying to follow through na mandate yenyu? Challenges gani ndo muna experience across the country here? What are some of your challenges?
Asante. I just want to tell you something. Wajua, people that don't understand, Nakada stands for what? Umenifahamu, ni lazima tuchukue time kuwafahamisha kwanza. Wao wanaona Nakada ndio wanashika watu wa drugs, wale drug baron. Wao wanaona Nakada labda ndio tunakwenda kufanya nini, wanatuliza. Tunapata challenges nyingi, lakini Nakada linaangalia partnership kama reach out na nani, hizi organizations zinakuja pamoja, kisha wanaenda check zile rehabilitation, kazi gani wanafanya kwa wale wateja, wateja wanatumika vipi. Kwanza let me tell you how mimi nimekuwa director. How umenifahamu, hii kazi ni ngumu, si kazi rahisi. Nilianza kwa kama activist nikipigana na demonstrate, nafanya yani mambo mengi nilikuwa nikifanya, mpaka nikawa natishiwa maisha, mpaka ikawa nimerushwa acid, lakini I never gave up. kwa sababu mimi ni mama, na mama siku zote ana feel unataka uzae mtoto in future, yule mtoto akusimamie wewe, muangalie, na unajivunia kuwa na mtoto. Ukiona kama type watoto wengine kama amerudia, unajivunia kuona mtoto wako anafanya nini. Lakini ukiangalia culture yetu tuliwacha hapa pwani, watoto wetu wametumiwa sana, na hakuna alikuwa anaweza, lazima uwe shujaa kusema kweli, kujitolea kwa kitu kama ni lazima uamini kufa na kupona, kuwa utapata usaidizi, watu kidogo waelewe ni kitu gani kina wadhuru, na utajua unasaidia vipi. Tutapunguza, hatuwezi maliza. Kutoka hapo nikaonekana kwa ule unyanyakevu wangu na vile napigana na sitakubali kwa zitumike hizi drugs, kwa sababu hapa hatuna miti ya drugs zinaingia vipi. Umenifahamu? Na siku zote tukiuliza, tunauliza zinaingia vipi. Si kwa kuwa jamii haitaki kusema wale watu wanaingiza. Jamii inaogopa, inakueleza wewe kama serikali hizi drugs zinaingia vipi. Wewe kwa ajili ya pesa, unachukua pesa, unamchongea yule mtu alikuja kukupa ile information. Sasa ndio unaona watu wengi wetu wanaogopa. Lakini hizi drugs sisi tunasema zinaingia. Hata nikikaa kwa board nauliza, shaona kweli sisi tunafanya nini treatment, unanisikiza, lakini awareness of treatment na nini to prevent hizi drugs haziworth, kwa sababu unless tujue the root cause zile njia zinaingia ni vipi, tutaendelea, will continue treatment, tutafanya treatment, tutafungua rehabilitation centers, but still hizi vitu vinaingia vipi. Umenifahamu? Na kwa sasa tunaona wanawake ndo wanatumika, na we ni mama, na we bado ni msichana. Hizi teknolojia zinaharibia watoto wetu. Unataka kuwa na utajiri wa mara moja, ufikiri unatoka familia gani, what goes around comes around. Wewe ukifanya hivyo hiyo kazi, lazima mtu wako wa nyumbani mmoja atapatikana pia. Umenifahamu? Sasa zile challenges sisi ambazo tunazipata kwa nakada, tunauliza mwafanya kazi gani? Mbona hamushiki hawa watu? Umenisikiza? Mbona hamushiki? Mbona drugs zimezidi kuingia pwani, sio? Lakini tunataka waelewe kuwa hizi drugs si nakada zinaleta, wala sisi hatuna ruhusa kwenda kushika mtu. Information tunaweza toa, lakini hatuwezi kukamata mtu. Nafikiri hata hao wenye rehabs, they are doing a very hard work. Kumchukua, kumnasua yule mtoto mpaka ajikubali si rahisi. Namsifia Musa, amejikubali. Tulikuwa naye tukimchukua kila wakati, anarudi tunamchukua, kabla sijakuwa director pia. Tulijaribu kumsaidia sana, na wengi tumewasaidia, na tafurahi Taibu anawaweka pale, anawaangalia. Wajua sio familia, tunarudia kwa familia pia. Kuna challenges pia familia. Familia wakishaona mtoto wao anaingilia hizi mihadarati, they give up.
Yeah.
Hawana ile hakuna ile love, wana stigmatize wale watoto. Hata wakija wanaingia nyumbani ngoja tufunge. Hata mtoto shatoka kwa treatment anakuja nyumbani, lazima umpe love, umwache wale watu wa jamii wamkubali pia. Umchukue mtoto wako, jikubali wewe ndani ya family, umemkubali mtoto wako, unatoka naye unatembea naye, na jamii itamkubali. Lakini wewe ukianza bado unamdiscriminate, unamstigmatize na mtoto.
No, unajua madam, hiyo ndio imekuwa a very, very big issue that we have experienced, and that is one of the main causes sometimes of the relapsing, you know, because they're going back to the same environment, they're going back to the same people, the same way you're looking at them. We always have to practice positive human regard. This is still a human being, this is still someone who deserves love and all the support. Now, my question to you, Bwana Taib, right now is, we're in the general election period. It is no secret, it is not a lie, that certain people, certain individuals will use this very vulnerable group of people to either instigate violence to an opponent, to either cause chaos. What are some of the cases, and what are things that like your outreach program has put in place? Because this is happening. What is being done? What are you people? Because at this point it looks like it has to be Nakada, it has to be the program, it has to be Uzalendo, it has to be Musa, it has to be who will have to take up the arms. What do you do in such situations?
Thank you. This is a very good question. To reply to that, I want to answer it in your statement. How have we changed the narrative? That's a very good platform to start with. So within Reach Out, we have 5 broad areas that we work on that will also explain what we have planned for election. One is the prevention program. This is where we engage at early stage to make sure that who have not used to be able to impact the information, give them right information, have a dialogue, discussion in schools, out of schools, engage them, like what Madam has mentioned here. When you realize there's one person using, there is a community which is infected and others which are affected. So within our prevention program, we normally encourage that. We give that platform to be able to encourage and have the discussion. Then the second one is now drug dependency treatment, is helping them. For those who have come out, that they need help, where do they go? We have a rehabilitation process. We have outpatient session that you can be able to engage. You can come to the group session. You can be visited at home. You can do follow-up through social media, also platform that we have introduced. Counseling, tele-counseling that we've introduced. So this is now giving that individual a way out of the drug. Then the third component is the new one, which has been able to work very progressively, is the harm reduction program. This is the outreach program. This is where we reach out to them, where they're using, where they're injecting, where they're smoking, where they're having sex there. We engage them into that discussion. We give them the right paraphernalia to be able to prevent HIV, to prevent HIV through different modes in terms of condom, needle and syringe program. It's starting that entry to service so that you can be able to do that. And in this component also, we are providing medically assisted therapy. The first of its kind that has been started in Kenya. We have 3 sites that are providing methadone currently in Mombasa, and this has shown very better outcomes in terms of engaging, in terms of treatment, and also going back to the family. We have done research recently. We have seen the crime rate among those who have gone out of drugs has gone lower. This has been amazing. We have seen people going back to families. There are people who have delivered babies. There are people who have gotten marriage. There are people who have reunited back to their families. That third component. Fourth component is sustainable livelihood. How do we now make ends meet? Because you're telling him to come out. You have put it rightfully. You want them to stand on. How will they stand alone? Musa has been able to try. But how many Musas do we want to see? We want to see many. We want to see many having opportunity. So that sustainable livelihood program provide them with an opportunity to get knowledge, education, skill, so that they can start their own business. Then the third forum is advocacy. That is where we come into election. Advocacy is one of our biggest pillar in terms of engaging law enforcers, engaging the county commission, the county government inspectorate, where we know these are the apparatus that we're using in terms of security. We engage the community itself to be able to understand. Then at the center of this discussion are people who use drugs, because we call them into the discussion. This is the time, this is the season, this is the period that people will engage you. But we have formed a very strong background. We have made them to understand the civic education. We have empowered their rights that they need to elect. They have their voters card for those who have been able to be with us. We've followed them through their identification card. And now they are registered voters. And now they are aware that they want to vote the right person. And they want to make sure that the policies and implementation that will be able to serve for the next government are rightfully going into. And of course, you've mentioned it, the challenge that we are anticipating to see. Yes. Of course, we have seen it in the different rallies. Yes. They target the community of people who use drugs in little money, 400, 500, or 1,000, to create chaos. And this is what, within our advocacy program,
we are trying very hard to make sure that how do we empower individuals to have better skills and engage into better and meaningful discussion with their politician. They need to be at the center stage when the rallies are done to ask those bold questions. What are you keeping for the youth? What strategies are you investing in your manifesto to make sure that drug and substance abuse is managed, it is seen within the look that you're giving us? So these are the discussions that we have started, and they're going on well. And we also came up with an election preparedness. We know things will happen, and maybe some will be hindered to access their medically assisted therapy, their medication like ARVs.
They aim to manipulate.
No, yeah, as in maybe chaos or something. They will not be able to reach to the health facility at that time because of that maybe the election time and everything. So we have kept measures so that no one will be left behind in terms of services.
Now when we move on to, I love that because you're creating a bedrock for people to be able to run to. If you're offering them, even poverty reduction programs, you're giving them the civic education. So it would be very difficult for somebody to come and tell this person, go and cause chaos here. They'll be like, why am I doing that? I don't need your 500 shillings. I have my own from, whatever small wages, whatever work I'm doing here and there. That's fantastic, and I really applaud that, what you are doing. We're going to take a short break, and then once we are back, we will dive into the question and answer session.
Imagine waking up to a majestic sunrise. Imagine an early morning walk on unspoiled sandy beach. Imagine the tranquil tide slowly creeping up to your feet. Imagine the breathtaking views of the blue skies over the glorious Indian Ocean. It's time to capture your imaginations. Book a beach holiday at Kenya Bay Beach Hotel, Mombasa, and turn your imaginations into reality. Prominently located along Bamburi Beach, North Coast, Mombasa, Kenya Bay is the perfect resort for a memorable beach vacation. The setting is just a prelude to an excellent potpourri of romanticism, practicality, pleasant amenities, and personalized services that will totally mesmerize you. Kenya Bay Beach Hotel. Book online now at kenyabay.com or email reservations at kenyabay.com or call reservations on 0725 991 500.
Navyojua kwamba inaharibu vijana wetu, wanakosa kufanya kazi. Pia inaharibu mustakabali ya ujamii, hawataki kuwa na jamii. Kwa hivyo madhara ni mengi, lakini hayo ni baadhi ya madhara, kwamba hawataki kufanya kazi na hawataki kuwa ni jamii. Kazi yao wanataka vitu rahisi. Pia inawaharibu afya yao, kwamba afya yao pia inazorota na akili zao pia.
Hiyo miadarati kazini yangu anatumia vyombo nini kwa nyumba ipatikani, ukiweka pesa mitungi kwa nje, nguo ukifua ukianika, hata majirani. Ilikuwa ni vita kila siku. Atupendelee hiyo madawa, manake ni madawa yanaharibu watoto wetu mpaka jamii. Hawana jamii, hata tunashindwa tufanye nini sisi wazazi.
Welcome back. We've come to the point of the show that I absolutely love, where we get to engage with our extinguished and very, very interactive audience. Our first question of the day is going to come from Fatma. Fatma?
We have already identified the issue. We came up with the policy. How do we follow up? How do we track those perpetrators? And the traffickers are still there. What are the criteria are you using? Are these policies working? How do you follow up with these perpetrators?
Thank you so much, Fatma. That's a fantastic question. I'd like time to take it. I think in a nutshell, the people, the panel represented here may not have the particular mechanism to indicate, but in the perfect world, what would you like to see the government put in place in regards to everything we have talked about, especially the implementation of the structures that you people have so duly laid out?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question in two terms or two angles. One, as a community, we have equally good responsibility in engaging and seeing how are these policies supporting us. And where need be, like the one that was tabled last year, the Drug and Substance Abuse Act of 1994, they have the review, which we have a trouble on it. It has really given punitive angles. It has had an area where it has a gain, but on the punitive angle, in terms of those who are using, they need to go for 20 years plus and being able to be fined. So, okay, policies are there, but the implementation is not the organization alone, but individual citizens to be able to hold different institutions and also government bodies accounted for. And also in this other angle is looking at drugs in the three dimensions. One, the demand reduction. Second, the supply reduction. And third, the harm reduction. Demand reduction is where we provide treatment, rehabilitation, alternative for incarceration. Then the second one is the supply reduction. Of course, we've managed to talk to higher levels of security teams to be able to engage them, because that is the mandate of the government, and we really appreciate. They have done different angles to curb those entry points, and what Madam has said here in terms of these trees are not planted within our situation. We are not planting poppy plant in Mombasa. How is it coming in? That is the role of supply reduction. Then the harm reduction, that is what most of the community members need to participate, is reaching people where they are, is engaging them. As we are commemorating International Day Against Drug Abuse this month on 26th, we have had the UN report. We have seen the government report. We want to analyze and articulate them. What measures are we wanting to see in the next coming government and also the next year's International Day Against Drug Abuse?
Thank you so much, Taib. There's nothing else I can add. I think that was wonderfully answered. The next question is coming from Esha.
Thank you very much, and I have a question. Just the other day, a man died because of chewing muguka. He used to chew it each and every frequent, and this is something that has been taking over our county and even at the coastal region, where we've seen an increase of young women and men using muguka. And also know that rehabilitation is very expensive. What can we do to make sure that at least we find more of our people going to rehab now that we know it's expensive? What measures can be put in place both by government and private sector to reduce the amount of money that is expected to be paid by a rehab center, knowing that we have very few rehab centers, especially in the coastal region? And then the second one, just the other day we saw a presidential candidate, one of the presidential candidates, saying that he is going to legalize bang in this country. What is your thought on that as activists and NACADA and NGOs sitting there? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esha. When we are dealing with a presidential candidate who openly and unashamedly talks about the use of marijuana and legalizing, the debate about the legalness of marijuana, but we still know that it is a drug. How would you address that? What is NACADA's feel towards having a presidential candidate who is sought after by many as a role model?
Well, I will say this. I don't think he wants to vote for the presidential, but he seems that he's a businessman. He wants to come out with this business. With us, NACADA will never agree such thing to happen, because we are against that. Napigana now, how can we allow him to do that? You see, I think even the citizens they knew that this is he's not going to be a president. He wants to make business on his own news. So in that way, we don't think that NACADA will never agree with him. And I don't think IBC will allow him for that.
Well, let's hope that the powers that be are watching the shows today, and we can change the motive of who we elect into elective office. We just not anyone. Someone who looks out for every single person's well-being, regardless of what their beliefs are. There's always a status quo across everything. The second question was Taib.
Drug dependency treatment. I know it's not easy for those who are in the street, who are vulnerable, who have gone very low in terms of the social life, to afford the drug treatment. It's something that it's known, but we really need to understand this is a treatment, it's a care, it's a comprehensive, it's a holistic approach that people need to be given. And we have specialists that are needed within this treatment. So there must be a fee in terms of doing that. Of course, we cannot say not every person will not be managing to go to treatment center because of money. We have measures, we have women who have come up forcefully and gratefully to support the treatment, paying for them. There are business community who have supported to pay for this individual. There are groups, women groups, young people, youths, they coordinate resources and take people to rehabilitation. So to me, my perception and look at this is the person willing to get into the treatment? Is the person ready to acquire the treatment? Is the person and the family accepting that they have a problem? We can be able to get support. Yes. They need help and they will get help. And we have seen people coming into social media and a community will come up and say, we will support. We'll support them. Yes. So we should not give up. We should not give up. And we know the upcoming of Mogoka has really confused our youths. We know that. And we have done research in different bases. And we have seen young people at the age of 14, 15 are using Mogoka. So this is alarming. And they have dropped from school. They have different characters that they go within school. But this needs to have a collective responsibility. We really need to have citizens, we need to have families, we need to have community. Let's go back to the old models where people can be able to be guided by different people, by different families, engagement, talking to. We should not leave that this needs rehabilitation or this need to go to Portrees or to go to Madare is a mental case. No, let's try it our own. And lastly, I want to also encourage family members, we should not stigmatize our own people, our own young people, our own families. We should not chase them away from home. Where are we taking them? We are giving them room to do more drugs.
Thank you so much. You had something to add?
I think I'd like to add something else. During tukifanya zile local outreaches kule chini as Beijing Talks na Beijing Pwani, I think people fail to understand ni kwa yani even like to limit one instance, mchukuzi at a market alikuwa anacharge watu like ukimbebesha, yani akikubebea ile kazi ya uchukuzi. Actually from that money that you pay him, let's say like 100 shillings, and save 20, of which that 20 anachukua pays on a daily basis to reach out so that aweze ku access ile treatment yake. And then the other thing that I can say ni kuwa I have seen, obviously you've seen like Indian movies and everything, yeah. Napenda vile like katika zile movies zao wanaeka like a small logo, smoking ama drinking is harmful to your health. I think if government does that, it will be better. And then for people who support Wajakoya, I think we shouldn't look at the drug basis peke yake. We should get to know his real manifestos. Tuache kudanganywa na mambo ya drugs. It's high time kwa sisi youth tuache kudanganywa for real. A packet of Mogoka will not help you, will not rescue you even after 5 years. We need to be, inaitwa nini, tukue proactive. Yes.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to the next question, and that was by Firdaus.
Okay, we've clearly heard that Musa has even given the story that when he started the drug abuse journey, he was in school. And we clearly know right now in every school there's the counseling teacher in charge of that. And they clearly know, majority of them know that this student is undergoing maybe drug abuse at that point. Is there any way that NACADA has intervened in training these teachers on how to deal with the mental issues, because the mental issues collaborate more on them in getting themselves into drug abuse? Are they taught on how to handle these drug abusers in school? And for instance, there's an issue when it comes to mental health, the black tax that we call, where the kid who's in school feels like he's indebted to start taking care of the parents, and hiyo ndo kwanza inachangia haswa wao kuwa depressed na kuingilia masuala ya drugs. Are teachers given sessions and trainings on how to handle all these students? Because there's also a complaint that students are complaining that whatever we tell the teachers, there's no secret, like there's no confidentiality. They go out there and expose us, despite yes, we know that we're dealing with drug issues. Yeah, is there any way that NACADA has intervened?
Thank you so much for your Firdaus. I think that's a brilliant question to Madam. Yeah. in regards to like what Musa had said, which in his case is not isolated. Just wanting to be accepted, peer pressure, low self-esteem, lack of self-awareness, all these are things that would prompt somebody to get into that. And these are the moments in the crucial years of the teen years when it's being discovered that this person has a problem. Are there preventive measures that are being put in place, especially with the guidance and counseling teachers in educational institutions to prevent?
Yeah. Well, NACADA inafanya education, civic education to the school teachers, school students. They've gone around most of the schools, Mombasa, Nairobi, even the organization, this small organization, they've also been trained and they're good, they go to school. Shaona, sasa hizi kitu vinaendelea paka sasa. Awareness, trainings, counseling zinafanywa. Teachers, family, parents have been called one-on-one. Zinafanya zote hizo.
So that's very encouraging to know that. Yes, Taib, you had something to add?
NACADA has really had a very good engagement with the training institution for education, which has been also giving the support in terms of training and also working with the schools. There is a curriculum that also I've benefited into that is training teachers to be able to early identification, how to engage, how to give or create an enabling environment, and also to give the initial counseling as they wait to refer to others. And also within our organization, Reach Out, we have also enriched into starting campaigns within school, forming groups or spaces within the school where they can be able to have time to engage with the discussion. And those who feel now they need to have individual session, we have worked with high schools and primary schools to engage into this discussion. And also we have activated the issues of debates, quiz within themselves so that they can be able to have peer education or peer educators as teachers to reach to their teachers and also students to reach to their colleagues.
Thank you. That is well answered. I hope that has answered your question. There are certain things that have been put in place to ensure that our kids, our students, are getting all the preventive measures that need to be taken in the event. We've come to the end of a very interactive, informative, and insightful episode of the Dada's Show. It's important to note that in order to reduce the social and health effects of drug and substance abuse, then every single person must play their part. The government must play their part. The leaders must play their part. And the basic family unit must also play their part. As we always say that this is not a one person's problem, this is a societal problem. So I would definitely want to hear from you. Share with me your comments, your insights, your thoughts, things that you feel like we would need to address on all our social media platforms at the Dada's KBC. So for now, I would want to thank my wonderful panel, my very, very interactive audience, our partners, Journalists for Human Rights, my production team at KBC, and our location partners, the Kenya Bay Beach. We will see you the same time, same place next week, only on the Dada's Show. Kwaheri sana.